are so loud.
That's crazy. It's so beautiful out. That's a whole lot better. I am sitting on this random log and I'm out here. And if you hear birds singing in the background, that is not my fault. They wanted to have a little symphony while I was out here. As the sky becomes less and less light out, I wanted to talk about one of my journal entries, or multiple of them, in regards to feeling lonely. Because I don't think a lot of people technically talk about the fact that after a while of being alone for so long, you kind of, I don't know how to explain it, you kind of get used to being alone, but you also kind of convince yourself that it's the only way that you can live, and you convince yourself that you actually like it when you despise it. And in terms of being alone in general, I have been pretty much like isolated for most of, I would say, like high school to now, basically. I don't have many friends. And in high school, I did not know many people because I did not go to high school. That is a whole different story that I don't think I might ever really get into. But in short, I didn't get the quote-unquote typical high school experience. And it's not just because COVID hit. It was right before COVID hit. I had gotten extremely sick. And since then, a lot of stuff has changed my life that I can't really put all into one video, because that is a whole different like discussion, maybe a series of things that I might like take videos of, and what I've learned so far, and what I learned in my teen years, and how it's really affected like my mindset going into my 20s. But when I was writing in my journal, I had noticed that when I turned 20, I didn't realize that after years of not knowing many people, and a society in which basically it's kind of odd, very odd, for a young girl in high school to not have many friends at all, not know anybody in her town, and be home all the time, whether that is because she was sick or because she just didn't know many people. I realized how lonely I was throughout that entire time. And I used to tell myself every single day, you're not lonely. You actually like being alone. And mind you, I've learned the skill of being alone because I was forced into that environment. I do not recommend. And for any of you who have been pushed into that environment without, much like warning, and maybe life took a toll, I completely feel for you, because mind you, I was 14 years old, and even before then I have struggled a lot with making friends with people, because and I was taught how to basically talk to people in a normal way, how to communicate with people normally. I'm putting this all in quotations, normally. And then as I grew up, putting these things that I was taught to conversations with people my age, I had realized that there is still some way that people will look at me that comes off as strange. they will still kind of see that something about me isn't right, and they don't know how to go about it. And yes, this has had affected a lot of my friendships and the way that I interact with people at my age range, which is like basically like 19, 20, 21 years old, 22. Like, I don't get along with many people my age. I often gravitate towards older people and adults that are like a good couple like years older than me. And I've always felt like there was a sense of like separation between how I view what is technically right or wrong within communicating with somebody and what isn't. And this has lasted for many years. And then when we're fast forwarding towards like, you know, like maybe 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, that's when a lot of like my life had like changed like drastically for me. And then I was put at a point where like, yeah, I didn't see many people around that time. And then we all know what happened in 2020. We all know what happened in 2020. And then just trying to go to a public school had me very, very like exposed to the idea that, yeah, I don't think that this is going to work for me. I don't think that the way that people communicate with each other and the way that it's normally like the typical way of going about having conversations, I fully never understood. And then this is like since I was like tiny. And despite all this, I had wrote in my journal that I find it disheartening and actually really sad that I had come to the conclusion at 14 years old, when I was sick in the hospital, that this was going to be my life, that I was going to forever be alone, and that I would not have people around me to talk to, so I better get used to it. That's what 14-year-old Liani told herself. And to think that makes me so sad, because for the next couple years I wouldn't find people, and whenever I had felt an ounce of loneliness, I would try to convince myself that it was better off that people did not understand me, and that I would never have my own group of people, because the routine was the same. When I reached out, I would often be called very nice in friend groups, but usually stepped over. I didn't know why a lot of people managed to not communicate with me within friendships when I had clearly asked them to communicate. I didn't know. And I've always kind of wondered why I always wanted to have a smaller friend group than a larger one, and why I was looked at oddly for that, and why I didn't like the idea that I had to consume certain media just to be friends with somebody. And the cycle goes on, but in short, I couldn't understand the basis of why I was a certain way throughout this life that I was living, which was very isolated. And even sharing an ounce of this to, let's say, family, because really they are the people that I often go to, because of my lack of knowing people in general. I have always been told, you have to be patient, your time will come. You know how many times I've heard that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then like I get frustrated, and then I ask myself, well, when? Okay, my time will come, but when? And then they can't tell you because it's not their time, it's your time. So then you're just like, if you don't know and I don't know, why even say it at this point? When will my time actually come? Nobody knows, but I'm tired of hearing it. Because it's the same thing that you hear when you are an odd person out of a group of people that already know how to do the thing that you are striving and longing for. That is basic, that people kind of just overlook as something so like normal, but in reality it's so hard for other people. And then it gets to a point where you're stuck between, do I actually like being alone? Because maybe being alone is a better option, but no, I don't actually like being alone because I have nobody else to talk to. And we can go into the whole idea of online friends, but low-key, they don't know you. They don't know who you are. You guys have never seen face to face. And it's hard personally for me to connect with a person online in a sense where I can go to them whenever I feel like just running away to somebody with my problems. And a lot of people take too much of that for granted when they already know that they have that. And making friends in your 20s is so hard because everybody either has a job or is in college or nowhere to be seen or is doing sex and hooking up and doing drugs and drinking, which, mind you, go have fun, go have your party, but I am not going because that is not my environment. And whenever you talk to someone who has a job, their main personality is their job. And then when you talk to someone in school, you can barely even contact them because they're always busy. And it's so hard. But I did write this also. And I had written down in my journal that what I had learned at the age of 20 and turning 20 is that when I was about, I don't know what age, I had figured out that art was the thing that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Not because of money, not because I seemed good at it, or whatever people want to say about them being an artist. But it was because of the fact that when I sat down and I finally picked up that pencil and I drew whatever thing I was drawing, and I had showed it to a person, that was the first time that I had ever felt like I was understood or seen in my life. I've always had trouble learning, like, and communicating what my emotions are. And that was the first time that I had felt so close to somebody, was when I had shown them my art. And if one day I can make any form of art and so happen to have someone know that they aren't alone and they could see me and know that they aren't alone in this world full of many people, but just have something there to connect to. If it's my art, if it's me, whatever. I would do that every single day. And that's what I strove for since that age, was making characters, making stories, making artwork, making music, making poems, making writings, any form of art, so that someone out there, anyone, didn't feel alone. And I don't want to be here and sit in front of the camera and cry and ask people for views and let people see this and then feel bad for me, because I've had enough people look at me in pity because of what I have gone through in my life, and I don't need any more of that. But I want people to know that the same feeling that you're feeling right now, whether it's happiness, love, anger, whatever it is, you are not the only person in the whole world that feels this. And that someone out there is feeling it the exact same way, or even more than you, or less, but they're feeling it in some sort of capacity. You're never truly alone, but the world can be very fucking lonely. And don't let that be the one thing that dictates your happiness. Because I still smile, despite me fucking crying on camera. I still smile every day, knowing that this is a feeling that's temporary, and maybe my time will come. But for now, it's not here. And all I can really do is wait, but I'm still gonna keep moving. And find joy in things that I can hold for myself and say that I can gather, so that someone that I meet could hear all the stories about what I've gone through and share the little adventures that I can show them and tell them when that time comes. This video might not even reach anybody, but if it ever does, just know that you are not alone. Okay? It's getting dark out, and I should probably go home. But yeah. Remember, you can wait, but you can still keep moving. Just remember that. Right? Love you. Here's the sunset for you.